Hello, friends. I just did my fifth, if you can believe that. I think it's the fifth of my weekly Cosmic Consciousness cabarets. And oh my God, what a ride. It's so interesting. I'm definitely I'm definitely still finding my process. And I say that because on one level, I feel like I'm locking into something. I have the sense today before the cabaret, I knew that I wanted to do a meditation of some kind. I had enjoyed doing that last time, and I was inspired by a conversation with Ruth to do a meditation kind of for myself, like one that was kind of for me, and trusting that would be also fitting and helpful and resonant with the people watching. And and so I sat down to write one, and it was like it just blasted through me. It was really bizarre. It's almost like that's it's a process, because I've had this happen before. When I was designing my piano course. I would sit down to write. So either I would sit down to write a meditation, which happened I think one time, but otherwise I would just have a flash of something, and if I was on it, if I caught it and I went to my computer, went somewhere I could write and just started writing, it's like it just bubbled. It just came through, and it's really kind of an amazing experience, feeling this journey, this kind of epic journey, pass through my awareness. It's like it just lifts me, and I just follow it. It's really kind of remarkable. And I think, what I'm trying to, I guess, discover in that is, well, what, and maybe there's nothing to discover. Maybe it's just let that be so, let that happen. Of course, I wonder sometimes, even as I started the one today, I started wondering, is this gonna, how are people gonna interpret it? What are they gonna think of it? Are they gonna either not relate to it, or are they gonna, there's a moment where I thought maybe I would be like almost hurting people, not hurting people, but like sort of discouraging them, because I was talking about how it was a metaphorical story for how we give up the fundamental bliss of being in desire. So desire is a way, if we know that the substrate of all being is ananda, the substrate of all being is bliss. So as we enter into existence, bliss is our birthright. And we give that up in order to have things we want. And things we want, that is a very open term. I mean, that could be relationships, that could be attachment to human beings, it could be, it can be literally anything. And very often, I would say in healthy desire, that's not the case, but in desire that is somehow, it has attachment as a component, there's some sense in which, even if it is healthy desire, there's a sense in which we have lost that connection with the substrate of just, boundless joy. And I think, actually, I take it back. If the desire is healthy, then I actually think it's not, then we maybe don't lose touch with that, because there are ways of having desire that are healthy and that do advance us. It's not like all desire is bad. But at the same time, my sort of both in this meditation and just in my thinking about it going into it, I was thinking, that bliss of being, that ananda, that substrate of total power to be in a state of literal bliss, that's the power to manifest what we want. So giving that up makes no sense. It makes no sense. Because we're losing actually the thing that we want. We're giving up the thing that we want for something that we think we want, for something that we think will give us that feeling. It's hilarious. It's like we would trade in money for something that we think will give us more money. It's like that circular in terms of the reasoning of it. It's that, which is why, which is why it's so easy to be neurotic. It's so easy for human life to be neurotic, where we have all these contradictory desires because we're trading in the fundamental, most valuable thing we could ever have for something that we think is going to give us a feeling that is maybe even just an approximation of that deeper bliss, not even the whole thing. But we'll take a snippet of it when we're cut off from that. We'll take just a little snippet and be satisfied with that because it feels like it's something. It's a taste. It's a little treat, a little tease. And so anyway, so this is what I was kind of, and I hadn't really honestly thought it through that deeply. Like I hadn't thought the meditation through that deeply when I did it or when I wrote it down. But I started to, as I did it, as it came out, I started to realize what it was a metaphor for, and for what I thought was a really beautiful thing that it was saying, and then I started to feel like, ooh, am I telling people they shouldn't have desires? Are they going to misinterpret? And then at some point I was like, come on, just write the thing down. Like, let's just trust here. Let's just trust. And, I think that's kind of all I can come to in terms of what that process required of me. It was just interesting to note that even as I start working, so I've talked about coming into the cabaret. I've had one of my challenges has been, how can I really engage and prepare while at the same time both remaining really open to anything that might happen, and also remaining in a place of play. Not getting into my performance-y thing of wanting to make it right, wanting to make it good, wanting to make it so that people will like it, whatever, And so today I definitely had the experience. I stepped into creation and I stepped into the development process, and even when I'm there, all the same shit is there. So it's like it's this hilarious kind of nudging from the universe. And I feel like I'm getting this on a lot of levels right now. I'm getting it in my work at the piano. It's the feeling of, as soon as I think I get it, I don't get it. As soon as I think I get it, I can be confident that I'm not getting it. Because it's never that simple. It can never be encapsulated quite so neatly. Now that doesn't mean that I don't log progress and that there aren't moments of actually sort of receiving something and owning it, claiming it. It just means every step I take, I'm preparing myself for a process where at every single step along the way, there's going to be this feeling of, am I doing it right? Am I getting it right? Is it good? Is it not good? Like all of that stuff. And the beauty of that is knowing that kind of sets me free. It kind of sets me free to know that that's what it's always going to be, because it means that nothing is wrong when it's like that. It means I don't have to get beyond that feeling in order to do the work. I don't need to get beyond the feeling in order to do the work. I mean, this is where I have memories of like reading about classical musicians, famous violinists and whatnot, who like stand backstage and throw up into a trash can before they go on stage every single time they perform. And they're giants. I don't want to name any of them right now because I actually am not sure that I'm getting the names right. But we're talking like some of the greatest musicians in the world puking backstage before they go on stage. And then they go on stage and they blow the roof off the place and blow the audience's mind. But even when they're at that level of greatness, undeniable genius, they're still feeling massive physical and emotional and psychological tension going in. Now, again, I think there may be ways, my whole approach is kind of one where I really am seeking to lean into that stuff and embrace it so that I think on some level that, having a physical reaction to tension like that, it's probably some sort of rejection of the tension. That energy doesn't have to make us sick. That energy can actually infuse us. It can actually be used to power us, and that's one of my whole major motivators in this work and in my work as a musician, in my work as a teacher, is finding ways of harnessing that and marshaling that level of intensity in a productive way. But I just think it's worth noting that the discomfort, the intense kind of discomfort, Madeline was telling me that Chogyam Trungpa talked about it would be abnormal not to feel some anxiety before a performance, some tension. And this is a guy who, one of the most enlightened beings to ever walk the earth. So it's not that there's anything wrong when we have that. And I think that's something that I keep relearning this lesson. And as I take my steps forward, I also keep coming back to it, because it's like I take a step and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's still the same. I take another couple steps. Oh yeah, no, it hasn't, that hasn't really changed. And I step. Oh yeah, wow, look at all the progress I've made. Look how far I've come. This is amazing. Now, okay, look forward again. Okay. Yeah, it looks the same. It feels the same. And it's like, it's bizarre. On some level, it's bizarre that we would expect it to change. That's actually the weird thing, because we have such a endless stream of experiences that it doesn't change. And again, for me, it's like recognizing that is the liberation, because it means I can have all that and just do it without attachment. I don't need to be attached to feeling relaxed before a performance. I don't need to be attached to feeling like I'm doing a good job, right? I don't need to be attached to feeling like, okay, now I'm really getting it. If I can be non-attached to that, to those kinds of imperatives that are really just my mind grabbing at security and wishing that it could know something that would then make it safe, if I can let go of all that, then it can be a total shitstorm. And I can just sit in the middle of the shitstorm and do the work. Just be right in the middle of the hurricane, right in the eye of the hurricane, so to speak. And I just keep getting more and more evidence and experience that tells me that that's how it works. So anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to the cabaret if you came. If you didn't, you can go watch it on YouTube or Facebook. I've learned how to stream it to both places now because I'm getting more and more tech savvy by the day. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.